Okay, so in this video I'm just going to quickly run through how you calculate the area of a parallelogram, as well as run through triangles as well, and how to find the area of them. So for the area of a parallelogram, it is quite simply just base times height. So for this, that is all it is. So you might be thinking, oh, how can it be that simple? Well, what you do is you can draw a line down here and notice how it creates this triangle. Okay? And what you can also do is draw a line down here and that creates that triangle. Now, my drawing isn't exact, but this bit on a parallelogram, just use the nature of a parallelogram, is exactly the same as this bit. So what you actually have is this rectangle. And how do you calculate the area of a rectangle? It's just base times height. So in this situation here, it's not this slanted height that you're interested in at all. It's this one. So here, my area is just simply going to be 8 times 4, or 32 meters squared. Now remember the meters squared bit, that's important. Okay, but that's literally all it is. It's this height that you want to be working with. Okay, now moving on to triangles. Now, one thing you've probably seen before is a teacher or someone else do that to you. How do you calculate the area of the rectangle? Well, that's base times height. But this triangle here is half of that. So that's why you get either base times height divided by 2 or half times base times height. Both mean the exact same thing. And in this situation here, the area of it is equal to a half times the base times the height, or 1/2 times 4 times 3. And 4 times 3 is 12. Half of that is 6 meters squared. Okay, sorry to cut it off the edge of the page there. Okay, so that is quite simply how you would calculate the area of the triangle. Now, what the questions on Hegarty have done is made it a little bit trickier for you. So, what I have on the other page is something that's a bit more difficult. So you've got all these tricky numbers here. Now, I've taken this off one of my students' Hegarty's. You might have numbers slightly different, or a triangle that is slightly different. Now here, the same formula applies. So area equals base times height divided by 2. Okay? Now, it's quite tricky to know which do we actually use. Now, this isn't a right angle triangle, otherwise it would be there, just kind of the way I've drawn it. But you're looking for a base and a height, so what do we use? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Here we have a triangle that now has a base and has a height. And all I've done is I've flipped the diagram. Okay, so we're going to use this as our base and this as our height. So what we would do is 35.7 times 13.6. Okay, just flipping the triangle, that is a base, that is a height, and then dividing that by 2. Now, I wouldn't expect you to do something like this without a calculator. And I unfortunately don't have my calculator to hand, but that is the equation that you would have to do. Okay, hopefully that makes it a bit simpler for you, but for ones that look like this and you've no idea what's the base, what's the height, if you rotate it, it might make it a hell of a lot clearer for you. Hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. There are obviously a few other questions like that, but flip it, you'll have a base, you'll have a height. If you do get something which, let's say, looks like that, and you have measurements all around the side, this is a right angle triangle, which means you can use that bit as the base and that bit as the height, because because that would also work. Or this bit is the base and that is the height. Okay? Use your common sense. I'm sure you'll be able to kind of have some. Just rotate this triangle and you'll find a base and a height a hell of a lot easier than you would otherwise. Okay? Hope it helps.